I wanted to ask you too a little bit about local poetry and some of the poets on the scene, some of the venues.
Mm-hmm.
Are you happy with where it's at right now? Do you think?
I get, must be, I don't know how many from Natalie Anderson, like at least 2 or 3 a day from her that says of all the different readings in the city. And sometimes I feel like, wow, there's so much going on that it's hard to absorb it. You know, like I can get easily overwhelmed in this, like overwhelming. But I have not hosted one in a long time, so I can't speak from a hosting perspective how that's feeling, you know, to people. I mean, I know you host one and you get people that come. I know you're hosting one, right? Do you still host one or not?
No, that one that was just an offshoot
Okay.
for National Poetry Month.
But I feel like it kind of goes up and down, it seems
It
like.
does, of its own volition. You don't really, I mean, you can host it, but you're not controlling, you don't feel any control whatsoever.
Yeah, no. So, you know, when you say, your question's an interesting one, Steve, sort of, am I happy with it? It's sort of like, I'm always glad that someone, somewhere, is willing to host a poetry reading. And it's like a light, you know, a candle. I know it's a lot of work. I know it can be hard, you know, it's a commitment. I'm always grateful when people do that work. So I don't know how to answer that. How would you feel? Do you feel like there's enough of a diverse venues for people? Do you feel like it's too many? Do you feel like there's places where there's a gap that maybe needs to be filled? Do you think people are hungering for something specific that's not being met?
I often think that knowing poetry the way it was when I first started, there wasn't really that many venues.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the stuff seemed to be happening in Center City
Mm-hmm.
and not much elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm happy that we do have all these venues. I'd like to see the venues with more people.
Mm. You mean it both in the audience and in the readers?
In the audience.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love reading to other poets. I love other poets reading to me, but I'd like to see some non-poets,
Mm-hmm.
more non-poets sitting in the audience.
Mm-hmm. I think people feel overwhelmed sometimes with life and all that's available to do, and this information overload in our society. And on any given night, you're like, oh my God, I can, you know, I'm working, or if I'm young enough and I still have kids, I'm managing all that. You know, so sometimes I think people are just pure, like, spent, you know, and the idea of getting out and going in their car and going out is a challenge. But on the other hand, I think that there might be ways to think creatively about how to draw more people in. And I think for me, it's about creating an experience where people leave with a memory that says, damn, I want to make sure I get back there. And I think if you can tap into that energy, I think that's really important. When I did that Glenside thing, honestly, I had no idea that anybody was going to come. It's just like, it's in the suburbs, it's on a weeknight, school night, work night, who's going to come? And yet, I felt like that went well. Even though most of the people in the audience were other poets or family members of other poets, I still felt that there was a certain kind of energy that was created there. Now, can you reproduce that every time? No. And so part of that is a leap of faith, you know, like, part of it is sort of, I'm gonna hold this space if there's 2 people or 20 people. And it's making those 2 people that come have the experience of a lifetime. That's what I think the real trick is. Because I used to do groups and facilitate stuff. I mean, we've all been there, you know, where there's like 2 people in the room. How do you turn it on for them? Because they made the effort. Those are the people in the room. Those are the people that you have to be with in that moment. No matter if I'm disappointed or trying to rally my energy or whatever,
Mhm.
So I think I don't have an answer except to maybe sort of stay present, always to try to stay present and connect with who's in the room. I don't know if I really answered your question about how I feel about it. It's, if I'm happy with the status, I'm glad for the preponderance of things. But I often think it's always about holding the space for people. Even if it's hard to do. Even if people are looking at their phone or, looking down on the ground. It's like, how do you make space for that?
Mhm.
Because it's what's in the room. It's not always easy, but I think it's an important thing,
We're probably winding down, so what I want to do, I'm going to have you read 2 poems going out, and I also want to give you the opportunity, is there anything you would like to say to the poets or the poetry world or to anyone?
Wow.
Is there any...
Okay, I'll have to think about that. But I'll read and then maybe we'll pause and I can...
Okay.
Um,
Had to put you on the spot at
I
least
know.
once.
I know. This is a short one. I'm going to read it twice because it's a little bit more abstract. But both of these poems, I think, really talk about the hard go of caregiving and what that's like as our parents age, or even if you're caregiving for people who are younger than you. I think many people in our society today are in that place of caregiving for others, and it's a gift, I think, to be able to do that, but it's hard, and I think it's important to acknowledge that. So this is called our tornado dance. My mom loved to dance. It starts with a quote from Browning. Ah, but a man's reach should exceed his grasp, or what's a heaven for? The phone is ringing in another room, a clogged network of memory. I can't hear its insistent longing for mother. Disconnected wire, the odd apartment key, a broken handle, they all signal that someone lived here, even if no one knew them truthfully. A filament binds me to the time when we were not this. I wish I knew you then, before we were the gaze of responsibility, when we could be just 2 girls with flat feet, invisible tornadoes of dance. A tornado of dance. Ah, but a man's reach should exceed his grasp, or what's a heaven for? Browning. The phone is ringing in another room, a clogged network of memory. I can't hear its insistent longing for mother. Disconnected wire, the odd apartment key, a broken handle, they all signal that someone lived here, even if no one knew them truthfully. A filament binds me to the time when we were not this. Oh, I wish I knew you then, before we were the gaze of responsibility. Just 2 girls with flat feet, invisible tornadoes of dance. So this is called Ghost. I am out of tricks today. No new ways to make you remember who I am to you. You're the mother. I'm the daughter. Cajoling words on a swaying rope bridge where a collective memory might hold us in the middle of all this uncertain footing, where illumination of love might shine. All over the world, stars are dying out. Just because there is a crack in everything doesn't mean the light gets in. You are the very disappearance of light, a person traveling backwards into a tiny pinhole of knowing, down a long tunnel of marrow. To follow you there, I must forget who we've been. Get small again, like a child in the dark, shining a flashlight to my face. See, Mama, I am the ghost. I have found this process of writing poems about my mother really beautiful, because when someone suffers a lot and you feel kind of powerless, I think poetry, that's what I want to say to people. Poetry has that opportunity to reframe a situation. As hard as it is, a poem has the ability to make my mother remember who she was and who we are to each other. That's what a poem can do. If I can't do that in real life, because I don't have the power, right? I can do it in a poem. I have a lot of power in a poem. We poets have a lot of power with our words. They can save lives. They can make a difference. So that's my message, is write, read, share. Poems can change the world. That's my feeling.
Good conclusion. Please, thank you very much for doing this.
Thanks so much. This was so much fun in your beautiful home. Thank you.